I want to call the East Greenbush Central School District Board of Education meeting to order, 7 p.m. This evening, we have board members present, except for Ms. Skomersky and Ms. Curtin, who are unavailable this evening. With that, please rise and join with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First order of business tonight is the Student Council from Columbia. We have Ryan and Emma here. Hi, guys.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. First and foremost, we are super proud to announce that Student Council raised almost $350 for breast cancer, and we donated it to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, where that money will be used for cancer or for care for cancer patients and research for a cure. And on October 20th, in partnership with the October 26th, in partnership with the Red Cross, we hosted our blood drive in the Columbia Auditorium, where over 50 students and staff gave blood.
Nice.
In Student Council today, we had a meeting to discuss the upcoming events in November and December. We are bringing back a favorite event that we weren't able to do last year because of COVID, the Bell Ringing for Salvation Army, and we are planning for another Spirit Week in December and for our annual winter decorating. Members voted to authorize $1,200 in spending so that we can participate and adopt a family this year.
And we also agreed that we will have a number of pajama days in December, so you can expect to see that if you come to Columbia. Right, and that's all we have for tonight. Thank you very much.
So the school is decorated purple. Is that something different?
Oh, yes. I think Mrs. Kozak was in charge of that. They had a little, I think like an awareness day for,
Great.
I want to say, it was domestic
Domestic
abuse.
violence?
Yep.
Very nice.
And we Student Council did help provide like people to hang up the decorations.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you. All right. Appreciate it.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You too. Okay, the next order of business is the approval of draft minutes for October 6th. So that meeting was a short meeting, and even though I was not there, I did review the minutes. I'm okay with voting if we can get a quorum and have those approved. So if there's no revisions or corrections, I need a motion to approve that. John, I need a second. Frank, all those in favor? Approved. The next minutes are for the October 20th minutes for the meeting. Any questions or revisions or comments? Seeing none, I need a motion to approve those. Cheryl, I need a second. Frank, all those in favor? Approve. All those abstaining? Very good. Sorry about that, Joanne. All right, that moves us from the minutes to the first board forum. I'll start on my left with Mr. Dunn. You good? Mark, good? Joanne, good? Frank and Cheryl, good. Okay. I don't have anything at this time. Now moving to our public forum. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns in the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or superintendent will contact an individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed to be an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing or prohibited were declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Seeing none, we'll move to, I'll close the public forum and we'll move to the reports and presentations of Superintendent of Schools.
Thank you, Mr. Buno. I want to welcome all of our board members and members of our administrative team who are here present in the meeting, and anyone who is watching the board meeting via the live stream to our regular board meeting. I'd like to make a special announcement and presentation to the board. Recently, our district was informed that for the 18th consecutive year since the inception of this award, Utica National Insurance is awarding our district the Excellence Award for Safety within our school district. Again, this is the 18th consecutive year that we have received the award. That award is based on very few incidents or claims in our district. It encompasses all of the district's buildings, particularly our transportation department, any accidents that occur within our facilities. So I want to congratulate the board for continuing to emphasize safety, and also our administrative staff and our team of support staff, teachers, and everybody working together to help the district to achieve the Utica National Insurance Safety Award again this year.
Good, thank you very much.
We are testing out our new audio system tonight, and we're making adjustments as we go, so I appreciate everyone's patience.
Just a quick comment. I appreciate all the work that it goes into the recognition of the excellence. The number of years is outstanding. I know this district has always had a strong emphasis on safety and providing a safe working and learning environment for our students, and making sure that we invest in the resources we have in making our buildings and our grounds safe. And I appreciate all the work that everyone does to go into that. So thank you.
Our second item is related to providing the update for the board that was requested at the last board meeting and for the community regarding the status of our registrations for winter interscholastic athletics. The majority of the board passed a recommendation that I had given at a prior meeting to follow the CDC and New York State Department of Health recommendations that all of our students who are registered for winter higher risk sports are fully vaccinated. The athletic department, in coordination with our nurses, has been updating the data. I will provide another update right before the next meeting. It looks like, as we look at the registrations, which are still open, that there are high percentages of our students who are registered who are fully vaccinated. And where we do have individual students who have not yet been fully vaccinated, they are working on it and have received one dose. In the instances where we have students who have not provided verification, or families have not provided verification, we are in contact with those families. In one case, we know that the vaccination occurred, but that the data was missing from the system. And so we're making that correction. And in the case of some newly registered students this morning or this week at the modified level, we are in communication from the athletic department. One of the things I do want to point out regarding this requirement, there are students who have turned 12 within recent weeks, and whose families have contacted either the athletic department or me directly to inquire as to whether or not their children would be still eligible to register. They are eligible to register, and I have spoken to the families about the fact that as long as the students are receiving one dose, they would have the same considerations as anyone else. They should become vaccinated within 3 to 4 weeks of the time of the full dose, and they would be permitted to play. And I have spoken to at least one parent directly about that, who was relieved, and I spoke to Mr. Leonard and Natalie in the athletic office about that. There are a few cases, again, where kids have just turned 12 and are now age eligible at the modified level. So we will continue to provide updates to the board, but as you proceed, there's an indication that our participation will be typical within our high-risk sports.
Yeah, just to reemphasize that the highlighted information in green in the report are the ones that applied to the mandate, correct?
That's correct. That would be
And-
boys basketball, girls basketball, cheerleading, and ice hockey, and wrestling.
So you can see there's a high number of girls track and mod, but it's a moderate sport.
That's right. The chart indicates the sports also that are low risk or moderate risk, and they are not subject to that requirement, although we do continue to encourage vaccination.
Correct. And will there be athletic testing, depending on test kit availability?
We will continue to offer testing as part of the surveillance testing for all students.
Okay.
once we have the test kits. It will not be a separate athletic testing program.
Okay.
It'll be
Part of the-
offered to those students that families have provided consent.
The overall testing program.
Yes.
If we get there.
We are still short of tests. As of this afternoon, I believe Questar did receive a shipment. I think it's about 8,000 of the 35,000 tests that were on order. So Questar is currently evaluating how they will help support the district's implementation of the testing programs with a limited inventory of tests.
Any questions on the data? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Simons. Next item.
I'm going to turn this over to Mr. McHugh. As you may be aware, Mr. McHugh's office coordinates tutoring. We have expanded the amount of tutoring that we provide for students this year due to the impact of some of the requirements for return to school when students are demonstrating illness, and because of those students that also may be quarantined at the elementary school level. So I'm going to ask Mr. McHugh to talk a little bit about how the tutoring services are being delivered, how that's going, and to make sure that we're providing as much support as possible to the children.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. As of October 26, the district has provided a total of 546.5 hours of tutoring to East Greenbush Central School District students, kindergarten through grade 12, since the beginning of the school year. 199.5 of those hours have been provided to students in kindergarten through 5th grade. All 199.5 hours were due to quarantine. In grades 6 through 12, 347 hours of tutoring have been provided. 33 hours of that tutoring has been because of either in-school or out-of-school suspension. 314 hours have been due to medical reasons or additional academic support being provided to students. So what is that number, 546.5? We're seeing about 40 additional hours per month as compared to a normal non-COVID school year. So we are providing additional tutoring. When students have requested it or teachers have requested it and students have been participating and it's been making a difference, we provided that tutoring. So the additional tutoring comes out to about 40 additional hours per month so far this year. I'll continue to monitor it and report to the board. Any questions?
Jim, how's the availability of tutors for the work? Availability of tutors still good?
That's been a little bit of a challenge. Historically, we have offered the tutoring assignments to the current classroom teacher. Time is important. So we usually send an email to the current teacher requesting this or asking if they would like to tutor. We give it about a day, no longer than a day, and then we go to our list of approved tutors. So the majority is our classroom teachers, but also our SRP members, our TAs. The TAs our teaching assistants have been critical, especially in the K-5, taking on those tutoring assignments. And we also have some outside tutors that have been approved to tutor.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jim? No. Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Simons?
Not under reports and presentations.
Okay, very good. Now we'll move to discussion items and winter interscholastic sports concerts, attendance, spectators. Want to introduce this topic, Mr. Simons?
Yes, school districts in our region are currently having discussions regarding the traditions of winter concerts, as well as what they may do in terms of implementing spectator policies for athletics. Different than last year, there are no executive orders or governing regulations from the state related to limiting the number of spectators or limiting the size of a particular public gathering. So these decisions are at the discretion of the district, and we're looking into some ways that we can continue as much student engagement and family engagement as possible in our winter concerts and in our athletic contests. I'll start with athletics. I asked Mr. Leonard and Mr. Harkin to review issues of space within the gymnasium for home games, particularly basketball, boys and girls basketball. And with a preference that we not only permit families to attend in person of the players, but also I think it's a very important experience for high school students to be able to attend and watch their classmates participate and play. It's been good for their spirit and their mental health this fall, and now we're shifting indoors. I want to do as much as we can, and I would recommend we do as much as we can to have kids participating as spectators in the games. Mr. Leonard and Mr. Harkin have been working together. I met with Mr. Leonard today, this afternoon. Basically, the Columbia High School gym has 4 sections of bleachers. Here he comes. He can help me with this. He's coming in through the door with some good news about our volleyball team, and I won't steal your thunder, Mr. Leonard. Okay. There are 4 sections of bleachers in the gymnasium, and based on some marking that Mr. Leonard has done, we believe that we could accommodate in one section the families of each of the players at each level, 4 per student. Those individuals would be sitting 3 feet apart. Everyone would be required to have masks. So we're leaning towards a 4 per family designation. Now, if you remember last year, we live streamed the entire game. There were no spectators allowed at the games other than coaches and support staff. Another section of the bleachers has been identified for students. That section, again, marked 3 feet apart, could house approximately 65 students. There's an additional section that Mr. Leonard needs to see how it would fit because of the way that the team has to sit on that side, how far he could bring the bleachers out. He thinks he could accommodate another 50 at least. So we're looking between 100 and 115 of our students could potentially attend the game and sit 3 feet apart and enjoy that participation. Another section would be for the family members of the visiting team, and we would permit the same rule for those visiting team to have 4 members of the family there, but we would not be able to permit the student body from a visiting school to attend. So we're working on it. We think we can do it very safely. We think it's important for the students. And since Mr. Leonard just walked in, I'll ask if he has any further comments, and then he can make his special announcement about the success that we just experienced about an hour ago.
So no, I'm very excited. Our boys advanced volleyball. Girls are playing right now, so hopefully they win. They advance to the finals on Friday. So very exciting. Sorry I missed the beginning, but today I got some pictures where you can see I marked out the bleachers. If you want to pass those around. I think it's an excellent plan. We've been doing stuff like this for 20 months now. So I think having 4 spectators per athlete is great. Getting the students involved, getting them part of the school, part of the whole social, emotional, get them involved. It's been great seeing our students at a lot of contests. I think that's important. I just got to figure out the player benches, which I pretty have a good idea about that. A good thing about our league, a Suburban Council League, we meet on a weekly basis and we share what we're going to be doing at each school. And we have a Google form. I shared that with Mr. Simons probably like a week ago or so. So each school will have their own protocols. We'll share them out to our coaches and our parents. Some schools are more restrictive. They're going to be looking at maybe 2 spectators per athlete only. Nobody else. Some have no restrictions. Some are going to cap it out at like 400, 500 total spectators. We're not going to charge admission. We're not going to do a concession stand. We'll clear the spectators after each contest. So this way the total density of population in the gym will keep staying down and decreased. So I'm not sure what else I missed.
I think you covered it. Yeah, I think we both covered it all. So at this point.
Any questions for Mike about the layout? Looks pretty good. I mean, Any thoughts about the ability to have spectators? And this is just the athletics for now. Right? I think I echo what Mr. Simon says. I think to encourage attendance of families and the student body, it is safe and effective and supervise it. And it's a real plus for the district and for athletes in our community to be able to see those kids. So thank you. Anyone else? No? Good. Support it? Yes. Okay.
Very good. Thank you for the support. On concerts, I'll start with the middle school and the high school. We've been having meetings with the middle school principal, the high school principal, and our chair of our music department, Scott Holliday, and representatives of the music department from Goff Middle School. And again, we feel that where we can, we want to have as many of the activities that the community and the students look forward to. So we want to move forward with protocols to implement in-person concerts at the middle school and the high school level. At both levels, those concerts are held in the high school auditorium. So we are looking at the capacity of the auditorium from a standpoint of having families sit together, 4 per student. Mike Harkin has measured and believes that the safest course of action is 2 seats between each group. So you sit with your pod, similar to what we did in athletics last spring. 2 rows in between each row of seating. So if a group is sitting in the front row, we would leave the second row and the third row vacant, and then there would be seating in the fourth row. He estimates that you could approximately get 400 people in the auditorium under that parameter, which we think will work. The plan is to stagger the performance groups in such a way that for example, the 6th grade band would come and perform, their families would watch the 6th grade band, and then the 6th grade band students and the families would leave out the side exit of the auditorium, and then the next performance group would come in. So typically our protocol is to encourage the families to stay for the entire performance, but given some of the restrictions and the need to limit the number of people that are in that auditorium for a lengthy duration of time, we would want people to leave after their child has performed. In both the case of the middle school and high school and athletics, I forgot to mention that we are arranging for those events to be broadcast. So we have received confirmation that outside services are available to broadcast the concerts, and we have a new program that will enable us to stream without charging the parents, as we did last year. And I forgot the name of the program, like Swish. Okay. Swish Live. So that's middle school and high school. Elementary music teachers and principals have been having discussions about some of the limitations of producing a winter concert at the elementary level. The primary concern right now is the fact that we would have large numbers of unvaccinated children potentially in the same space, performing in performance groups right before the holiday break. And we're worried about that. Secondly, because of the social distancing requirements, we've implemented 3 feet with masks on for singing and instrument with bell covers. The bell covers have been delayed in shipment. So at the elementary school level, we don't have sufficient bell covers. So really what we've been doing is individual lessons at this point. So the teachers have had little opportunity, if any, to bring the kids together to rehearse. And so our music teachers, taking a lot of pride in what they do, are concerned that the type of performance that they could produce under these restrictions right now would not be meeting their own expectations, let alone the parents, and to bring the parents out on a cold winter night for one song that they might be able to produce. They would rather put their time and energy and resources into working through these issues and preparing the kids for a nice spring performance. So we're recommending foregoing the concerts at the elementary school level for the winter at this time.
Any questions on concerts in attendance? Sounds like another good plan. So we have 3 elementary principals here. And any feedback from parents, or if you think that'll be acceptable for the winter based on the teacher's recommendations? Yeah. Yep. Sure. Yep. Yep. Sure. Yep. Okay. Great. Great to hear. Similar thoughts in the other schools, Marty and Wayne? Okay. And I think if there's an opportunity for them to come to the big school to do a concert, I think that would be nice too. I know sometimes it's great to see them in their community schools, but if the spacing can allow them to enjoy the big stage, I hope we can take advantage of that as well. So, okay. Because I know there are a lot of parents go to those events and they can be pretty crowded. So, all right. So we're supportive of both the athletics and the concert spectators. Board members? Yes. Good. Thank you. Moving on to the next item is our proposed first draft of board goals and strategic priorities. I hope everyone's had a chance to look at these. Mr. Simons, would you like to go through a few of these? And
Sure.
we'll take it maybe the goal size and then maybe just kind of hit the highlights on the bullets.
Okay, very good. So for the last several years, we've had a process working at the board level to the central administration, through the principals and the staff to establish annual goals. And those goals generally fall in very important broad areas: academic excellence. We want to continue to ensure that our students are achieving. This year in particular, we want to make sure that we are demonstrating that our students are making progress after some of the experiences of COVID-19 and the impact of the hybrid model last year. We also want to continue to use data to evaluate how we're doing. We've had a lot of work in professional development on making sure that we are monitoring and measuring our effectiveness. Additionally, academic support goes hand in hand with the social, emotional, and mental health support that our board has prioritized. We've added resources in this area. And so under academic excellence, we want to be able to demonstrate to the board and the community that we're continuing to make progress towards the learning standards, measuring our effectiveness in reading and math, and providing the social emotional supports. The middle school and high school level, we're looking at course failure data. We've been presenting that data to the board over the last couple of years. We want to reduce the number of students who are failing courses at that level. We want to increase opportunities for kids to demonstrate proficiency and mastery through instructional practices on the Regents exams. Over the course of the last several years, we worked hard to align our educational programs with our staffing, our human resources, and our fiscal planning. So that is goal number 2. We've continued to emphasize the importance of always improving our recruitment, hiring, and retention practices. We want to be able to address an issue that all districts are experiencing right now, which is turnover in staff and key positions, and a much smaller pool of qualified applicants looking to work in our schools. So we want to have some plans in place to deal with those transitions and address those shortage areas. And through our financial budgeting process, we want to continue to provide the board and the community transparency. We want the board to be involved in providing input into our budget process, and we want the community to be engaged in making sure that our budget is affordable.
Can we just pause for a second? Mr. Simons?
Yep.
So goal 1 under academic excellence, any comments or questions? I think it's in line with what we're addressing in terms of this upcoming year, the resources we talked about quite a bit with the federal funding that we have, and all the issues that we've kind of talked about over the course of the last few months on how to, as our children return to full in-person learning. Any comments on goal 1? I think it's pretty pretty solid in terms of the addressing the need. So just kind of quick comments now. We can have further comment as well.
At the end?
You need some questions now because yeah.
Question on one,
Okay.
questions on,
Okay. Let's go to that one next. If there's anything on goal number one.
Mike, I
Yeah,
just
John.
want to say that that's a very important goal, and I
Mhm.
appreciate the work, because during this pandemic, we're focused on so many other things, and to maintain our focus on student achievement and the gaps through this time, I think is very important. So thank you for addressing that.
Do you think it's all the points for our first goal? Good. We'll move to our second goal, which is around educational, human, and fiscal resources. Mark, did you have a comment on that one? A question? Sure. Okay. That's fine. On the word goals? Okay. Do you want to talk about that now?
so, and I missed the retreat. I was away on military leave, but did we develop these at the board retreat? Is that where these came from?
No, these were not. The first draft was taking the goals that we had last year, and Mr. Simon's taking a first look at the different areas that we've discussed, looking at the different components of the needs of the district, and then coming up with some suggested objectives for us to follow.
Okay. Yeah, I would, and like some time to review it
Yep.
further and make some suggestions.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is kind of the first go around for our discussion point. I don't expect to have any decisions on this until we've had some good conversations about the different areas and making sure that, again, these are just presented for comment and input at this point, and then we'll refine those based on it and then feedback. Okay, definitely. So again, some areas that we talked about in goal 2 about recruitment and hiring retention, obviously big issue facing most employers and especially school districts. Looking at succession planning. And again, in terms of the transparency and stakeholder, we talked about from the budget calendar area, ways that we can further engage the community and make sure that all our processes are transparent and visible to our taxpayers. So any other questions or comments on goal 2? I just want to give people time to kind of digest them one by one here. Okay. All right. Moving on to goal 3.
So just to reiterate, this was the first draft that we're presenting for board input. We're not asking the board to vote on this tonight. We have no timeline by which we would want the board to vote on it. We're just inviting your input back. This was our starting point among the central administrators. Okay. Yeah. Goal 3, we want to continue to be emphasizing our partnerships with our community and our families. We've been very successful with the Food for Families initiative and other outreach programs. We want to continue to support community and family needs because they support our students. Additionally, part of my identification of these priority areas was based on a review of the feedback I received through my evaluation, and there was encouragement to continue to develop relationships with the towns, including all towns that are encompassing of the East Greenbush School District. So there's some ways that we can do that this year. And additionally, we want to continue to enhance our public communication program that provides communication to the community and our families. And Mark Adam was recently recognized along with Questar for the good work we do in communicating with the public. So that would be goal number 3. Just kind of continuing what we've been doing and really incorporating some of our work with the towns.
Any comments or questions on that? Okay.
And number 4 deals with making sure that we have a progressive, inclusive, innovative, and safe environment within our schools. One of the things we did last year was we did complete a school climate survey. It was an area that was identified for further work. Within the feedback that I received from the board, there were some areas that we want to look at for potential improvement. One of those areas that was identified was bullying and working with preventative programs on cyber cyberbullying and some of the stuff that goes on between students via social media platforms. Additionally, through Mark Mann's efforts, we've been able to successfully bring forward the Stop Arm Camera Initiative, which is the equipment and the technology that can identify people who choose to pass the school bus and enforce fines. There are multiple districts now who have joined up in support of that. The county approved the local law, and we are expecting that once the state gives its approval, that we'll be able to procure services countywide to provide that technology on our buses, and we're really excited about it. Additionally, we're expanding through some of the federal grants, extracurricular activities. The board heard a presentation on the clay target team. We're implementing archery. I'd like to go forward with the planning of the junior ROTC program this year with an expectation that maybe we can implement it in September of next year. And we want to continue to emphasize some of the work of the committee on global education and just make sure that people in the community and staff are aware of what we're doing to make sure that our policies and our practices and the delivery of our instruction is as inclusive as it can be to meet the needs of all of our children and families.
Comments or questions? So this is typically in our process, we try to do a board retreat. We go through our goals, we go through the objectives, we kind of do some things around that model. The last couple of years, we've taken kind of similar goals, roll them into the new year, and then based on the current status of how the school year was and dealing with the pandemic and the challenges there, we put together kind of abbreviated goals and priorities for 2021, and now this roll over into 21-22, knowing that our students are coming back and our staff are coming back full time. How do we address those gaps and needs? And we didn't have the opportunity to really kind of talk about it in a retreat format, but I think this is a good starting point for at least to blend the objectives and goals of the superintendent, the board, and the district, the administration to see if we're hitting all the areas that the board would like to see in terms of its priorities for this coming school year. So if we take that look, provide some feedback to myself and to Mr. Simons, we can then kind of fine tune these. If there's some areas of concern or areas that you've heard that you want to address, if there's a goal we want to add, combine some things based on our conversations over the last year. Let's get that back to myself and Mr. Simons, and we can bring those back to the board for discussion. Okay, does that sound like a good plan? Okay, so
Very good.
All
Thank you,
right,
Mr.
thank
Pino.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
moving on to regular business, approval of programs for resident children with disabilities. Any questions or comments? I need a motion to approve that. John, second. Joanne, all those in favor? Approved. Nomination and election of the assistant district clerk. So I would nominate Cheryl Kennedy for the role of assistant district clerk. I need a second. Mark, all those in favor? Congratulations, Cheryl, you were the assistant district clerk. You need to issue the oath? Okay, Jeannie will do that.
Assistant clerk according to the best of your ability.
Congratulations, Cheryl. Okay, so she is sworn in and ready to go. And we appreciate and thank you for stepping into that role. The next item is the Quest R3 Administrative Management and Planning Service. Any comments or questions or anything we need to know about? Linda, would you like to say anything about this?
Sure. I'm seeking approval by the board to enter into an agreement with Questar to do an overview of our transportation department, its organizational structure and procedures. Ken Zabrowski from Questar 3 would be conducting the review. He has already contacted the transportation department. He's obtained some work studies from the office people in the transportation department and other people throughout the department. And he is in the process of setting up interviews with those people.
Very good. Any questions for Linda? No? I need a motion to approve that. Frank, I need a second. Cheryl, all those in favor? Approved. The 2022-2023 budget calendar and district vote calendar. We made a couple modifications there, I believe, and based on my request and some having some alternative or tentative flexibility with those workshops during the budget review session. Any questions or comments on that? No? All right, need a motion to approve the budget calendar. Joanne, second. Frank, all those in favor? Approved. The Columbia High School Clay Target Enrichment Program, which we had a presentation at the last board meeting, went very well. Thank you to the staff who did that. Any questions or comments on that program? Seeing any, motion to approve that. John, I need a second. Mark, all those in favor? Approved. The 21-22 snow removal bid. Any comments on that, Linda?
We had one bid,
One bid,
Chris
okay.
Gronow, same as last year.
Same as last year, okay. Any questions or comments on that? No? We need a motion to approve that. Joanne, I need a second. Frank, all those in favor? Approved. And last, we have the Capital Area Schools Health Insurance Consortium Trust Agreement. Little background there, Linda?
The trust agreement with Kashik is renewed every 5 years. The only change to the trust agreement, as it has been, is that there's been an addition of 2 school districts to the trust, and that includes Amsterdam and North Greenbush. Other than that, the Kashik Trust is operating the same as it has been.
Very good. You're pleased with the involvement of the Kashik and their representation there?
I am pleased. We have meetings every other month, and I am currently on the committee to select a third-party administrator.
Very good. Okay, thank you, Linda. Any final questions for Linda on the Kashik agreement? Right. Seeing none, need a motion to approve that. Someone? Frank, second. Joanne, all those in favor? Approved. All right, that concludes our regular business. Moving on to committee reports. We'll start with Marissa, the staffing update.
Thank you, Mr. Bino. We have a special education vacancy at DPS. Jack Elvey and Kara Harrington held the building level interviews the other day. Our final interviews with Mr. Simons are scheduled for Monday, November 8th. Our chemistry teacher at the high school is retiring. His retirement's on the consent agenda this evening. We've conducted the building level interviews and final level interviews. Our candidate did accept the position, and his recommendation for appointment will be on our next consent agenda on the 17th. Helen Squilacci is working on conducting the building level interviews for our reading leave of absence position. This position is Lisa Mahar's. She's had accepted our RTI coordinator position, and we're looking to backfill the reading. Our school safety supervisor position, Mr. Harkin and I had final interviews earlier this week. Our candidate accepted the position, and he is working on getting his fingerprint clearance. We have several teaching assistant positions still open in district. One is in our CTAP program, and we have 1 full-time at Goff Middle School, and also 3 part-time teaching assistant positions. We have several monitor positions across the district, 2 at Columbia High School and 2 at Goff. Mr. Harkin and Mrs. Barker working on those initial interviews. We have had some trouble getting qualified candidates for the roles, so this is the second time that we've posted. Phyllis Sanford and I are conducting cook interviews on Friday for Columbia High School. And we also have 2 automotive mechanic positions that we're recruiting for. Lastly, our wellness coordinator accepted the position, and his recommendation is on the consent agenda tonight.
Great. Thank you, Marissa. Any questions for Marissa?
Yeah, so we conducted 19 interviews. James Driscoll and I, actually, Mr. McHugh was out that day. Sorry about that, Jim. We had 3 questions for our candidates. One of the questions was, how can we best serve you? What do you need for us to be successful? And we are currently getting all of that feedback, and I'm working with Mr. McHugh and then Mr. Leonard to see how we can implement some of the suggestions that our coaches provided us.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Marissa. Good question. I think the process that we put in place was very helpful, and I think it will help both the coaches and the district and the athletic department to kind of see what needs we can help out with, and also to get a chance to talk to our coaches every year about their
Thank you.
plans. Thank you. Any other questions from Marissa? Okay. Moving on, Linda.
Thank you, Mr. Buono. We had a BRAC long-range planning meeting on Monday, October 18th, and we had a nice presentation by our facilities director, Paul Bickle, who presented us of items that have been completed in our current capital project. And he also provided us with a list of items that are under consideration during our building condition survey. Mr. Wickman from March Associates also gave us an update on the building condition survey. They plan to put a list together, and then in consultation with the district, we will provide a priority list and then an estimated budget. That will be filed next year in 2022. We also had an advocacy committee meeting on Wednesday, October 27th. I'm happy to report that we have 5 students from Columbia High School participating in the committee. We had a couple of topics. They included COVID-19 and how quarantine is affecting us and some potential changes in that. And we also talked about finance and the relationship between budget, tax levy, and our state aid. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Moving on, Jim.
No reports at this time.
Thank you. And Jeff.
We conducted our health and safety meeting. It was a virtual meeting on Monday, October 25th via Zoom. We had, prior to COVID, discussed exploring certain technology that would be available to detect vaping. We had not been able to follow through on some of the requests to have one of the companies come in and present the technology. So we did have a guest from Altech Integrations that was set up by Sam Beardsley from Questar, who is our representative from the Health and Safety COSER. They presented information on the Halo system, which not only detects vape, but has other technologies available to detect noises and other behaviors that may be happening in the bathrooms. There were questions about the interfacing of the technology with our security cameras, because we would have to, if you detect the sound, you have to be able to respond to that issue and monitor it and see what's happening in terms of who is committing the offenses, who's, for example, vaping in the bathroom. The company informed us that there are some local districts that have purchased this technology, including Mahonison. We didn't make any commitments to proceed with any actions, with the exception of having a conversation with our high school administration and maybe some of our safety supervisors about maybe taking a visit over to Mahonison and seeing how that technology is working out. What was emphasized was that the district can set that technology in such a way to control, the false indications, the level of sound that it tracks, et cetera. So we're just exploring this. We haven't made a decision to purchase it yet, but it was something that was on the safety committee's radar, and so we followed up on it. Additionally, this summer, Questar provided very comprehensive training focused on safety response as well as intervention, crisis intervention for students. And we had a team attend that training, SRO Jeff Russo, Assistant Principal Mike Newman from the middle school, Audrey DeBacco, Tim Malloy from the high school, Debbie Gagne, psychologist from the high school, and our SRO Mike Kondo. We asked that team to provide the safety committee with an overview of that training. There were some checklists and tools that they thought were very comprehensive and could enhance what we're doing with our safety team. And as part of that discussion, we have had a practice of inviting all the law enforcement agencies that serve the district in for some discussions of our safety plans, and I've scheduled that meeting for November. TikTok has become the focus of school districts and the national media in terms of promoting misbehavior and vandalism within our schools, among other behaviors. In the initial opening of school in September, there were some issues in our bathrooms related to the promotion of vandalism. It appears as though some of that activity has been reduced, which is good, and we're continuing to monitor it through the addition of monitors and our vigilance of our safety supervisors. I talked about the bus stop camera program. I updated the committee on the progress with the county. Principals reported on the safety drills, which are going very well. It's a good opportunity to test the equipment. In some cases where we've had some issues with the equipment, we brought the automation in to address those issues, and it's been fixed. Nurses have reported that the protocols for COVID-19 are going very well, although they're very busy. They are also assisting with updating the vaccination status of our students, which continues to increase. One of the things that I will be providing to the board is a report on our playgrounds. This came up at a request of a board member to take a look at the possibilities of purchasing playgrounds when we were discussing the federal programs. As part of that, responding to that concern, I asked Paul Bickle and Sam Beardsley from BOCES, who is a certified playground inspector, to go around and inspect all of our elementary playgrounds. They have identified a number of issues that could be addressed through remediation. Parts could be ordered and installed. We're also going around right now and providing new wood chips underneath all of the playgrounds. There are some playgrounds that are in quite disrepair, and I've asked Paul to put together a report that would indicate the cost of replacing parts and fixing the existing playgrounds versus replacing the playgrounds. The ones that are in the greatest need are Genays and Red Mill, which are our larger, in addition to Green Meadow, are our larger playground. So they've given me a comprehensive report. They fixed a lot of the things already that they could fix. And there's an outside consultant, architects, coming in to look at the needs and create a report that I can provide to the board to say this is the cost of fixing the playground versus the cost of replacing the playground, but we are working on it.
Any questions related to the safety committees and information? So is that something that can go under the I know it's a building conditions survey, but does that include grounds and things like that, playgrounds?
Yes, they can go on to the building condition survey
Okay.
and be part of a future capital project.
And did we find out if the federal funds could be used for this kind of activity?
I think they can be.
Okay.
Whether or not we would have sufficient funds that are not allocated is the question right now. We would have to look
Sure.
at that for year
Okay.
2 or year 3. Some of these playgrounds are $250,000
Yep.
to replace. For example, a playground the size of Genet is a $250,000 project.
It is a widely used community resource too. I would say that after school summers and things like that, it's a tremendous resource for the families and people who live in those communities where those schools are. And I think it's a great investment. I do appreciate Mr. Garrett's comment, and I know that the inclusive equipment for disabled students and children to utilize the equipment is an excellent suggestion. I hope we can work that into any plan as well.
So that concludes my report on the safety committee.
Thank you, Mr. Simons. Table motions, next item. I don't have anything. Old business, board members, anything? Joanne, yes.
Appropriate place, but back in minutes, I misspoke. The meeting that I should have abstained was up to October 6th.
Oh, okay.
If I
Yes, I'm sorry.
could switch my abstention to the 6th and my yes vote to for the 20th.
Jeannie, you got that? Okay.
Thank you, and I apologize.
That's okay. I should have picked that up too. I had a note here, Joanne absent too. That's 6. Okay. All right, we'll move to the consent agenda, and I think you'll want to pull one item, right, Joanne, from the item B? 13B, okay. Yep. Actually, let's go back to old business quickly before I move to consent agenda. I just wanted to talk to the board, the process for the board member interest. The deadline is November 8th, as we published. I'd like to set up the possibility of talking to the individuals who showed interest, and either that week, I know it's Veterans Day week as well, so we may have the 9th and 10th, and also the next week. I would like to see if we can talk to somebody if we have a selection and have them presented to the board on the November 17th board meeting, if that's possible. So if you could look at your calendars for either the 8th or 9th, the 9th or 10th, the Tuesday and Wednesday, or the following week, the Monday, Tuesday. So that would be the 15th, right? 16th, around there. Okay. And then just give me some feedback on which, if your availability for those dates. Okay. And we'll do your preference if you want to do Zoom interviews, or we have a setup like this, would be appropriate just to space out. Any preference? We did Zoom last time. Anybody? Feedback? In person, Zoom? Mark's an in-person person. I mean, this forum looks pretty good. We could have something like this if the evening's available in the library, and we can just do this kind of setup, if that's okay, and have somebody help us out with that. So let's get the dates back to me. Again, deadline is the 8th, so 9th and 10th, or 15th and 6th, or 15th or 16th. Evenings, yes. Yep. Right now, I think we have like 3 people interested, and then we'll follow up with scheduling those on their availability. If we have to do 2 nights, I'd not like to do that with only 3 people or so. I'd like to get them all done at once. And we'll use similar questions. If you have anything you want to add to the questions, I'll send those out. So I'll send a reminder by email about the dates, questions we've used in the past, and then we can decide on a plan of action. Okay, great, thank you. Now I'll go to the consent agenda. We'll any questions or comments on items A through G, and we're going to pull 13B. Nope. Okay. Seeing no comments or questions, let's go to a motion to approve the consent agenda. John, I need a second. Frank, all those in favor? Approved. We'll now go to item 13B. Any questions or comments? Need a motion to approve that? Mark, I need a second. John, all those in favor? All those abstaining? Approved. We do have an addendum for one of our coaches. Any questions or comments on that? No. Need a motion to approve that addendum? Joanne, I need a second. Cheryl, all those in favor? Opposed? No? You're good? Okay. All those are in favor? We have 100% there. Okay, approved. New business. Board members, any new business? No? Okay. Moving to our second public forum. No one's came in since we started the meeting, so anyone in the public want to say anything? No. Okay. We'll go to our second board forum. We'll start on my right with Cheryl. Nothing. Frank? Good. Joanne? Good. Mark? That's good. John is good. All right. I don't have anything at this time. I do want to, oh, Mr. Simons has something. Yes, go ahead.
It's more of a housekeeping item. Administrators have pointed out to me that the December 1st board meeting is scheduled to be at Red Mill. It's also the same night that parent conferences are being offered, and there are going to be some in-person parent conferences. So the
Okay.
suggestion is to move the December 1st board meeting to here at the high school. And then Red Mill would host the January 12th meeting. If everybody's okay with that, we'll just reflect that in the minutes and I'll send a reminder out to the board and adjust the calendar.
Yep.
So the Red Mill meeting in December would be at Columbia and the January 12th meeting would be at Red Mill.
I do want to congratulate our athletics teams. I think soccer unfortunately lost in the sectional final, Mike. Yeah, 1-0 or something. Yeah, it was a great run by the girls soccer team. Any updates on the volleyball? Nothing yet. Okay. Right. Just want to. Oh, did they? Okay. Okay. Get an update. Let us know. Again, I want to congratulate our fall athletes for their performances. I know some are still going on, and we wish them well and thank them for all their hard work and this fall season. So with that, that concludes the regular business for the board meeting. We do have need for executive session for purpose of contract and personnel items. We don't anticipate any board business after the executive session. So with that, I need a motion to go into executive session. Joanne, I need a second. John, all those in favor? Okay. All right. Everyone have a great night. And we'll go into executive session shortly.